On Hello everybody and welcome back to BSG Online 7. You may find the links to donate to Mind below the stream in order to donate to this great cause. So here we are now with Mighty Gunvolt Burst. So Kiwami, how about you introduce yourself?
Alright, good day everyone. I'm gonna be running Mighty Gunvolt Burst. And this game is quite interesting because this game was actually made by the same developers as both Mega Man 0 and Mega Man 9 and 10. So, yeah, this game is basically like a Mega Man inspired game. And we also have a lot of DLC characters. We're gonna be playing with Call, which is actually my favorite character in this game. And I would say that is actually the character that put the most effort into running, like into the routing and optimizing my own runs. So without further ado, the time will start as soon as we pick up the characters. So in 3, 2, 1, go. So I have some backstory there that we can actually skip. There's no unskippable cutscenes in this game, which is really convenient. We can like skip all the dialogues and stuff, but there isn't much. If you're playing as a DLC character, you don't really get as many cutscenes as you would get with the main characters, which by the way are Gunvolt and Mighty Number 9, aka Back, if you know Mighty Number 9, of course. And yeah, this game is a crossover between those two games. That's why those two are the main characters. And there's also some Galgun references as well. But there isn't many. Like, there is a couple Galgun references, which is also Integrate's game. But I think they decided to not put they decided to not put many Galgun references, since I think the main focus here will be Mighty and Gunvolt, which are both platforming games. And Galgun is like mostly like I don't know. I don't know. It's actually it's kind of like a shooting game or something. But either way, this is the intro stage. The intro stage is a little bit slower than any other stage in the game because we don't have any upgrades yet, and that's where this game really gets interesting. This game has a huge customization system, so that's also the reason that I'm grabbing those CP ups, and I'm gonna be grabbing a lot of them throughout the run, so we can get more upgrades. And the most important upgrade in this game is the air dash and the damage upgrade, which are both upgrades that are pretty much mandatory to the run. Okay, that's a good RNG so far. Really good RNG. At 133 on the intro stage, IGT is actually a really good time. That was a really nice luck, really good start so far. And yeah, that's also something that we need to talk about. The RNG in this game is very, very strong. Like, there is literally, there is RNG inside the RNG in this game. There's just way too much RNG when it comes to the boss fights. So yeah, I think one of the biggest things, like one of the main points when you're learning this game, is to actually learn a lot of different boss patterns. And on the speedrun, there's a lot of patterns that unfortunately the only thing that we can do is just lose time. Also, now we got the air dash, and whenever we get an upgrade, we need to equip it by opening the pause menu. So we want to pause as little as possible during the run. So I'm only gonna be doing this when I am sure that I need to equip an upgrade. So most of the time saves in this run, I mean, this run like has a lot of things. You have to menu save time and upgrades. You also need like good boss patterns, good boss fights, and also like a good platforming. Which is, speaking of, there's like this final section here. I hope I don't die here. I'm gonna try to play safe here. Okay, that was a little bit too safe. Okay, I'm gonna wait for the shot to despawn. Yeah, I unfortunately I wasted all my shields, which is Call's main mechanic, by the way. We didn't talk about Call's mechanics, so She has a shield that can literally deflect any incoming enemy projectile, and she also has those supporting robots that deal damage to enemies. So that's pretty much called selling point as a DLC. And she also got an air dash, which compared to the main character, which is Beck, which is also an air dash user, it's a little bit weaker, but not that much. Like Beck's air dash, I think Beck has a slightly faster air dash than her, and he can also air dash multiple times. Like he can air dash up to 3 times, which is a little bit of a nerf compared to how he was in the original game in Mighty Number 9. But if he could infinite air dash in this game, that would be way too strong. Same for Kaora, actually. When she was playable in Mighty Number 9, you could also infinite dash. But in this game, they got slightly nerfed compared to the Mighty Number 9. So we're now on the highway stage. This stage can be a little bit tricky to optimize because there's a lot of enemies, and this is like a level that kind of encourages you to get a lot of combos. And oh, that was weird. So I'm gonna be trying to clean up the path so I can easily air dash. Gonna grab those CP chunks here. Also, I'm gonna be using a lot of shields throughout the run so we can go faster. And also sometimes you can use the shield as a safe strat. So also this is the hardest part of the stage because like there is way too many enemies here, and also this game is not called Mighty Gunvolt Burst just for the sake of, you know, of sounding cool and all. Burst is actually the core mechanic of this game, very similar to how it was in Mighty Number 9. You can, like, when you kill an enemy from point blank range, they are going to burst and you're gonna get a combo. And some enemies have different animations or behave different if you kill them with a burst. And yes, you can even do that to bosses. However, the bosses don't really matter that much. Also, I got a little bit of better RNG here. I'm gonna try to hope that he gives me a good pattern. So yeah, what I was trying to do here, I was trying to skip this desperate attack because it saves like 4 seconds. Unfortunately, it's also RNG dependent. We need the boss to give us a good pattern so we can skip this desperate attack, or as they call in Gunvolt, DM attack or something. So that's also something that happens in this game. Whenever a boss reaches 50% of their health, they're gonna do a special attack that like sometimes makes them invulnerable, or like they go off screen, or they do something that deals a lot of damage. And most of them are easy to deal with, but some of them we don't want to see because we lose time. And now we have this stage here, which is quite an interesting concept because we start up with a fire stage. Okay, that enemy decided to shoot straight. There's also this little bit of a skip here that you can do with Call. Whenever you jump on those lights, you get height. And if you jump at the same time as you shoot, you're gonna keep all of your vertical momentum. Also, I'm gonna do some damage boost here. That's why we don't want to take damage at the start of the level, because that way we can damage boost. But yeah, that's pretty much the stage. We're very close to the end here. The burst mechanic is not very useful in this game, at least on Call. But something interesting about the burst mechanic in this game is that some characters have more damage the bigger your combo. So some characters literally like they have both a speed run and a scar attack run mixed together, which is kind of cool. So yeah, this boss, unfortunately, we have to deal with that with his attack. There's not much we can do about it. We don't have enough damage yet. That was a clean fight. So, actually, something about the Pyro boss in this game, Pyrogan, his attack pattern is actually very similar to what he was in Mighty Number 9, besides for his Desperate attack. But yeah, after Fire level, of course, we are going to the Waterworks, which also remembers me about something very important, which is weaknesses. And there is... You can get the boss weakness in this game, however, it's actually slower, because you're gonna be losing important upgrades. So, you see that whenever we kill a boss in this game, we are getting the CP upgrade. And we do that because it's gonna be a little bit faster later on to have more damage instead of having the boss's weaknesses, because they only deal damage to some bosses. But if we have more damage, we're gonna be dealing more damage throughout the entire game. So it's actually, in long term, it's better to have more damage than to have the boss weaknesses. Like the boss weaknesses deals like, I think it deals 0.5 damage extra, while the first damage upgrade that we get also does the same. So having one damage upgrade literally gives us a boss weakness for free, pretty much. I mean, without getting into too complicated maths here, because I think the routing of this game has already has enough complicated maths when it comes to getting upgrades and such. So now we're going to fight Cryo. She is... she has an interesting pattern that is kind of similar to her original pattern, but not really. So we want her to hammer the ground like she did there. And we want to basically absorb all of the spears around her, because it actually shields her. Okay, that was... Oh, okay, that was one hit away. That's still fine. So, that was the boss. He had a little bit clutch there. I was very low on health. But that's also the reason that I did a retry before the boss fight, so I can get health back. That's also an intended game mechanic right there. You can get your health back if you retry. And speaking of retries, this is actually something really nice about the game design in this. You don't have extra lives. You don't have any... Actually, you don't have lives at all. You can retry a level as many times as you want. And the only thing that you'll be losing with that is support. So unless you're a character that actually needs to have combo or like a specific amount of score. Actually, not really. There's no characters in this game that, hey, they have to use score to do damage. But when you reset, you lose some score, a little bit of your combo. And those two things, if you're playing a Skull, they don't matter at all. So we can easily just retry, get health back, and call it a day. So it's a safe strat, and it's also gonna be part of the main strat later in the game. So in the final stage, because there is a lot of damage boost that we need to do, I'm also gonna be exploiting that. So here is not a big problem if I lose time back there, because there is... Those barrels have a global cycle. Yet I believe it starts as soon as the level starts, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it. So it doesn't matter that much if we go slow. So now we have Seismic. Mick is actually an interesting boss because he's very slow. So we have a lot of damage. Oh, I almost got his skip. Okay, this skip is kind of weird to do because you really need him to stay on the ground. That could have easily been a gold. Actually, might not have been a gold because I had a bad cycle. I didn't got the early cycles, but that was still good enough. And yeah, let's go to Capital Building. Capital Building is by far one of the most different levels in this game because this level just kind of does its own thing. Like, it doesn't have literally any inspiration from the original level for Mighty Number 9. Actually, a little bit. Like, there is... The idea of the level is here, but it's pretty original, and I'd say that this is one of my favorite levels. Like, it's the most original level of the bunch. And that's kind of something really nice about this game, because if you play Mighty Gunvolt, like, if you played the original Mighty Gunvolt, or even play, like, Mighty Number 9 and Gunvolt 1 and 2, you're gonna spot some similarities between some levels, but this level plays very, very unique. And basically, we have this big computer in the middle. Not this, I mean, it is a terminal, and we need to deactivate all of the other terminals to go to the final area. And that's a very nice level concept because the level feels pretty non-linear sometimes. Also, I broke that wall there. There's an upgrade inside that wall, but it's... Grabbing that upgrade is actually really, really slow. It's a CP upgrade. However, we don't want to grab that because we have just enough upgrades. Also, this is one of the first levels that we have a skin for Call. You see that item on the top left there? This is a customization, a different skin for Call. Unfortunately, we don't grab them in the run because it's actually slower, so I'm not gonna be grabbing that for the sake of going fast. But that's also a big reference to the Kickstarter days of this game that we had like votings, like we had a voting for Call's design, and the current Call design that we have is the one that won. And this game has a lot of like the unused designs as a reference, so huge shoutouts to that. I'm just gonna kill this enemy right here. Also, I'm gonna try to do a pseudo manip here. This boss, if you hug the right wall, there's a high chance that he's not gonna show on the top of the screen. Let's see. Okay, he did it. Okay, so yeah, I say that it's a pseudo manip because sometimes it doesn't work. But yeah, we do a lot of damage anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. That was Counter Shade. So yeah, now that we have more damage, essentially all of the boss fights are going to be like this. So that's the reason that we do this route that way. The game is routed carefully so we can kill the bosses that have more health faster, and like we fight the bosses that have less health earlier, and then bosses that have a lot of health later in the game. And we also got the diagonal fire in Counter Shade stage. Also, I'm gonna do a little bit of manipulation here. If you hit this enemy off screen, he is going to jump over you every time. So it saves a little bit of time because you don't have to wait for him to waste his shield. Also, I have a power-up here. Those power-ups are essentially always on the same place. There's no random, like there's no RNG when it comes to those items. They are always on the same place, which is also very convenient. Also, now that we have the diagonal fire, we are going to be facing the bosses that can fly, pretty much, or go to the ceiling and everything. Bosses that can do vertical attacks that would otherwise lose time. And also, speaking of enemy placements right now, each character in this game, they have like some differences in some enemy placements. So Cole is probably the least different one. Her enemy placement, I would say that 90% of the enemies are placed in the same place as back on Gunvolt. So, okay, that was a better RNG from Dynatron right here. Like normally we want her to stay on the ground, because if she stays on the ground, we can damage boost and kill her in like less than 10 seconds. But if she decides to fly, we have to use diagonal fire, and that actually loses a little bit of time. But again, since we have diagonal fire, we have an easy time against that boss. So now we have this stage that has a lot of conveyor belts. And this stage, the conveyor belts are basically Mighty Number 9 mechanic, but the level design is also quite unique. So yeah, I think this level, besides the souls that we have later on, this is a very straightforward stage. So if we have any donations, that would also be a good time to read them.
Absolutely perfect timing, thank you very much. Because I wanted to remind everyone that as we're getting, into this final day and those final hours of BSG Online 7, we still have one final incentive that can be met, which I want to bring your attention to, which is for Onimusha Warlord's Any Percent Ultimate. Specifically, it is for the special costume incentive, for which it needs in total 125 euros, and we are at 100 euros, so we're actually quite close to meeting this one. So we still have a few hours, but it means we can reach it, and if you were to donate towards that, it means we could potentially get closer to potentially surpassing 1,700 euros in total for mine, and then further and beyond. So let's keep it going, everyone, and thank you for all your support so far during this event.
Right, now we are seeing the Desperate Attack for Battalion. Battalion is also very easy boss at this point of the game. Like, we have a lot of damage, we have Diagonal Fire, so it's a pretty simple fight. Technically, you can actually skip his Desperate Attack if you have, like... I mean, I would say that you have to, like, you need pass level mashing to skip this guy's Desperate Attack, but it's not necessarily impossible. I think I already managed to do that once, but it was not actually in a run, so it's not that easy. But if you have task level mashing, maybe. But yeah, something that this game doesn't necessarily have built in. You don't have turbo or anything. So yeah, you need to have, basically you need organic mashing in this game, and you cannot really officially map your shoot bottom to one bottom. You need to have it only in one bottom. So mashing can be a little bit tricky. But anyway, we are now heading to the final stages. This is essentially the Wily stages in this game, and each one of the final stages, they have some, like, they have unique mechanics. And on this stage, we have the kind of like the Yoko blocks of this game, but they're easy to deal with. They are kind of similar to Yoko blocks. They're like blocks that are based on a cycle, so they are technically Yoko blocks. However, we don't get to see them as much because we got the bottom route. And that's also a major difference in the routing for this level. If you go to the top route, you're losing like 10 seconds because you have to deal with the Yoku Block cycles. But if you go to the bottom route, you don't have to deal with them. You go to the dark area. However, you are losing an upgrade by doing that, but it's not a big problem because we already have just enough upgrades for the 3 fights and to also get more damage. And now we're fighting the Game Master. By the way, if you guys don't know the lore about this game, we are playing on a simulation. And the simulation is broken, so... we need to, you know, talk to the Game Master about this. And there he is. The Game Master is literally Gunvolt. And if you're playing as a DLC character, the Game Master is no longer being controlled. If you're like playing as Beck or Gunvolt, you fight... they fight each other, but they are basically being like they have mind control. Yeah, just some lore. It's kind of interesting how like the game plays different if you're playing a DLC character. So now we have this level here, which brings water physics back. Since this level is subspace, subspace has water physics, or maybe anti-grav, not necessarily water physics, right? I mean, it's the same physics as water physics, technically, but if we're going to be more like realistic, maybe this could be anti-grav physics. I'm gonna be careful with this section right here because I can dodge those spikes. And I didn't dodge to a single spike in this run yet, but yeah, spikes are insta-death in this game. Just like any Mega Man game ever, of course. So now I'm gonna be setting up for a skip here. Let's see if I can get it first try. Okay. Oh, no, oh, didn't got it. Yeah, so what I was trying to do here, I was trying to set up a damage boost so I could walk on the spikes above that ceiling. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the cycle, so I just decided to turn back. This only saves 10 seconds, but it's a nice thing to show off, and it's probably the hardest cycle skip in the game because of how precise it is. At least if you're playing as Call. If you're playing as Beck has like a way easier time dealing with that cycle. And also on Subspace, we have more damage now. We have 0.0 damage. So essentially, that's the amount of damage that we want. So essentially right now, we're no longer going to be getting any upgrades. Besides for knockback resistance that we got in Subspace, of course. We got the knockback resistance, and this is the last upgrade that we are equipping. Hopefully I will have enough CP to equip it. If I didn't forget any, there you go. That's the knockback resistance. And now this level is the level that I said earlier that we have a lot of damage boost. And also we have this tilted screen, which, yeah, can be a little bit complicated to look at for too long. Also, I'm losing way too much health here. Oh my god. Oh, that F. Alright, that's fine. Okay, that's how you do it. There we go. That's a little bit better. So now we're gonna be resetting here. Get a health back, so we can do more damage boosts. But yeah, 1 death in the final stages. Yeah, that's fine. So we also now have the tilted screen mixed with darkness, because just having a tilted screen was not enough. We need to also need darkness, but This section here is actually really pretty easy to deal with. Even with the darkness in the title screen. It's very easy to memorize where you have to go. So now I'm gonna be trying to go as fast as possible here. So I can get the cycle. There you go, that was a good climbing. Really good climbing. And now we're heading to Plasma Legion, and Plasma Legion is, I think it's actually the only boss that we get from Gunvolt. He's from Gunvolt 2. However, her pattern is actually very different. I mean, a little bit. She has some similarities. And she also has her desperate attack that is called Aero Runner, which is also a reference to Gunvolt 2, where she splits herself in two and fly to each side of the screen, and we don't want to see that attack because he loses 4 seconds, because she becomes invulnerable for 4 seconds before splitting, so skipping that attack saves time. So we're now heading to the refights. The only refight that that matters here is Battalion, because we can actually skip his desperate attack. Hopefully I can do it. Okay, that was a good pattern. I think I can skip it. There we go. And no desperate attack for Battalion. That saves 20 seconds. If you get a perfect pattern. If you get bad RNG, you can still skip his attack, but you lose a little bit of time, but that still saves a lot of time because it doesn't become a cannon. So now we have Pyrogan. Pyrogan is also very similar to fight to the first time that we face him, but we have a little bit more damage. If you have free damage, like if you have 3.0 damage in this game, you can actually skip Pyrogan Desperate Attack, but turns out that grabbing enough upgrades to get free damage as call is slower than just doing the refights this way, so it's still not worth it. Maybe someday we can have a reroute, but we don't have a lot of upgrades that we can use. So either way, the refights are pretty much straightforward. They're the same thing, but more damage. So if we got any donations, that's also a good time to read them.
Alright, absolutely. If you want to support this event in ways other than your amazing donations, you can also consider using your free monthly Prime Gaming subscription, right here on the ESA channel, which will give you access to both ESA emotes as well as several BSG emotes. And as such, by doing that, you can then help support this event. And can be especially important, for instance, with the presence of BSG Annual 2022, which will be happening this August. And as such, this is also another way beyond your donations to also be of great help to BSG. So thank you all, and let's see how things go.
And I'm gonna be using a couple food items. I didn't talk about food items before, but you can use them to get health back. They're essentially the sub tanks in this game. So hopefully we get a good pattern from Ninathon. There we go. And that was at least I could show off how her quick kill looks like in the refights. But yeah, we basically just damage boost and deal damage to her because we have a lot of damage at this point, so we don't have to worry about it. Now Cryo is also a really quick fight. If she actually decides to give me a good pattern. Okay, no hammer. Yeah, I played it safe. Normally I would damage boost, but I was running low on health. So since we are running low on health, we might as well do a retry, or as it would normally be called in another Integrates game that also has this mechanic, the checkpoint reset. So yeah, we get health back, and that's a safer way of doing the refights. Oh, he gave me the punch. That was a bad RNG. Well, that's actually pretty rare. Either way, we are only one boss left. There's only one boss left for refights, and it's Counter Shade. Let's hope he doesn't go to the ceiling this time. Hopefully, if he stays on the ground level, there's something really cool that I can do, which is the one cycle. Okay, that was not the pattern I wanted, but that's two cycle. Two cycle is always free in the refights due to the amount of damage that we have. So now we finished all the 8 main bosses. We are now heading to the final boss. And the final boss has, technically there is the first phase that we are fighting against copy call, or like a copy of any character that you're playing as. And this boss here is gonna copy our arsenal. However, this boss dies so fast that the boss cannot do anything. But yeah, the boss really deals a lot of damage, so we want to be careful with that. But since we had full health, we could easily tank any damage that we had. So now we have the final boss, Tiseo, and he is a reference to Wolf Sigma from Mega Man X. Quite interesting. And now he's gonna get a huge. I'm gonna eat those 2 final foods here. And also, this final boss has a pretty neat reference to Nico Video. Like, since like Tiseo is, the idea of this boss fight is that he's like streaming, right? He's streaming to Nico Video and our fight, and those are like the comments. So now the final phase, and so get ready on time when the screen fades to black after this small cutscene right here. And time. Yeah, there we go. That was Mighty Gunvolt Burst. And the final boss is kind of hard to explain because it just goes so fast. But this boss fight has like a lot of different attacks. But thanks to the amount of damage that we didn't have to see them. So
alright. I was gonna say GG's first off. And I wanted to ask, do you have any shoutouts that you wanted to do?
Well, I think I want to shout out some, like, if I would say the name of everyone that I know, it would probably take a while, but I'm just gonna shout out some like people from Mighty Gunvolt Burst community. The game has a small community, but the Integrates games in general, the communities, like both the Gunvolt, Mighty Gunvolt Burst, and Mighty Number 9 communities. We have small communities for those games, but they're really amazing. And also the Brazilian community in general. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching this run, and also thanks for the opportunity for me to showcase this game off on a marathon. I'm really glad that I could run this on a marathon.
Alright, thank you so much for this run. With that said, now everyone stay on your seat because we've definitely got more coming your way. With up next being Metal Gear Rising Revengeance by Mecharazium. So we'll be right back right after a short intermission. And also just a quick word that I will be passing it over to Zelda Addicted as the host for the next few hours. So it was a pleasure to read your lovely donations once again for BSG Online 7. So stick around, everyone, and we'll be right back.